Hello everyone, welcome back to Film and Flash, and today we're reviewing the Quantaray RZ800. This camera came out in 1984 and retailed for $150, which adjusted for inflation today would be around $500. Now, the exact manufacture date of this camera was from 84 to 87. That'd be 19, obviously. It takes the Pentax K mount lenses, very common, simple, pretty normal for its time. It has an auto shutter exposure and aperture mode, obviously. You just click this button here, and fortunately you cannot use auto aperture on this because this lens does not support it, but you can use auto shutter speed. And as you could tell, this is a kitted out model, so I imagine it would retail for a little bit more than $500. With all its accessories, I'd imagine retail for about $700. It has the Quantaray RZ motor grip, which will automatically advance your film for you, and it also has a Quantaray QB 6500A flash unit, which we'll talk about both these things separately in a little bit. Oh man, it has a few buttons up top here, which would be the obviously auto button. Up is to advance your film. You can use that, which will control the motor grip and then advance it. And then you also have the down button, which will rewind your film, and MX is for multiple exposures, which essentially allows you to take more than one shot on one frame. And then it was likely made by Cosina, which was a Japanese camera manufacturer, which manufactured a few Canons, Nikons, and Pentaxes, and nowadays they make high-quality lenses. This camera, just the camera itself, takes two LR44 batteries. They are still available today. You're going to be paying a little bit more for them because they're specialty batteries. And then the flash unit takes 4 AA's, and the motor grip takes 4 AA's as well. And let's go over some little physical stuff on the outside. This little thing right here indicates this is the self-timer indicator. It'll flash. This right here is a buzzer, and it will alert you. What does it say it alerts you for? I wrote it down. I have a ton of information written down here. It buzzes for the self-timer and warning when you're over or underexposed and for low battery. And then, so these two kind of similar purposes. Then you'll notice there's two shutter buttons, one on the camera and one on the motor grip. You want to use the one on the motor grip if you have it, because it's synced up with this, and then that will know to automatically advance your film. I'm not sure if it matters, if you might be able to press this and it'll still advance it, but regardless, I mean, I don't see the harm in it. Plus, it's kind of more ergonomic anyway, a little more convenient to just touch that button. And that is majority of the information about this camera. I mean, there's a little ISO indicator over here on the film rewind, and it actually has ASA. And right here, if you use the European version, there's a little conversion chart back here. But basically, you would set this, you would rotate it to your film speed so that the camera's built-in light meter knows how to interpret and basically knows what it's metering for. And then obviously your flash just unscrews and you can slide it off, slide it on, and screw it in. It has a little lock here you can unlock. It has adjustable positions. You can adjust it to various degrees. It has a little ISO thing here, which you would adjust to the same as your film type. So if you have 200, like Kodak 200, you'd adjust this to 200, and then you'll notice the aperture adjusts with it, and that tells you the recommended aperture setting for that ISO. And then if you go lower here, it tells you meters and feet as to what distance the flash is most effective at. Here's the on and off for the flash. This little thing will alert the flash if it's asleep, and it's also a tester to make sure the flash is fully charged and functional. Down here you have a manual and auto mode. Manual allows you to lower the power of the flash slightly, so it's not as out there. But if you put in auto mode, it'll also automatically do that as well. It has a TTL, which is through the lens, because it actually uses its own built-in metering system. It has a built-in light meter, which when set to auto will automatically interpret what settings to put itself on. And it'll also know when to stop. Like it'll know how bright to do it and when to cut off the flash. This little selector down here is the module PX. You'll notice it has a blue, yellow, and green. And the blue, yellow, and green is for different apertures. It tells you what aperture to assume is set. So if you're going to be setting it to the recommended aperture, which is 5.6, you will set this to the green, which is, well, there's no in between for that. What is it, f5.6? You would set it to the yellow. Basically, I'll tell you the little numbers for the chart right here. The blue is for f2 to f2.8. The yellow is for f4 to f5.6. And the green is for f8 to f11. That is what you'll set it on relative to what your lens is. So these two don't always have to correspond. You can obviously use a different aperture depending on your environment, but which is then why you'd want to switch it to manual mode, obviously. Because if you're going to run the camera in automatic mode, the majority of this stuff's already done automatically. But the camera's pretty smart, and so is the flash. So if you just listen to what it says, your pictures come out pretty good. But obviously, it's case dependent. And then yeah, the module helps the camera to stop flash at ideal exposure. So that is like a ton of technical information about this camera. That's like pretty much everything you could ever need to know about this camera I just told you. I can tell you a little bit of bonus information. The camera needs batteries to work. It's not manual at all. Nothing will work without batteries, which might be a little con if you like the appeal of mechanical and the ease of it. However, this camera would ultimately be more reliable and probably a little bit more smoother. However, obviously, if you don't like batteries, manual is always a good option. I prefer manual myself. I find it to be beautiful, but I'm not, what would you call it? I'm not ignorant to the fact that these are arguably better cameras for most people. This may look a little dirty. This is actually a 49mm Quantaray UV lens filter, which is for shooting in obviously conditions where UV could be a problem. This is the factory Quantaray 1 to 2 50mm lens, which is made in Japan. And then obviously up here you have your typical information, which you can find on lenses, such as your the focus distance and your aperture adjustment. And then to take the lens off, you simply just press this down and it slides right off, and you'll notice there's a little marker here and a marker on the film body itself. You will align these up and then just slides in like so. Then it'll click once it's in place. And this little button down here is actually for activating the aperture blades, which I do not think you can tell. Yeah, it probably needs a battery to do it. And then obviously your batteries are, I would assume they go in down here, you twist this thing, but that might not be true. You might have to unscrew some things. This is a little tester, obviously. And then your batteries, as far as where they go in here, right here on the side. You just pop this off and your batteries go in there. I don't have any batteries. This camera is empty. That's the best way to buy them, the best way to store them, because the batteries can leak and destroy your internals. But that would be the majority of the technical specs for this camera. Let's see. All right, well, that's enough of information about the camera. That's really all there is to say about it. This is a Quantaray is not its own brand. Quantaray is a house brand, which was made for Ritz Camera Store. I don't know a whole lot about that, but that is the camera store that this camera was made for. So it's like kind of like Great Value. It's like basically someone else makes it, but they label it as their own. A lot of companies did do that. A lot of the major companies did too. Most of them actually. I don't think Leica did though, but I'm not 100% sure. I know people who shoot on Leicas like their lenses that they make today. So yeah, this camera like was considered budget friendly, but I think like obviously excluding these because these are accessories, you do kind of get a lot for your money. It's a really good point and shoot camera, but it also gives you a lot of creative freedom as well, which is something that I appreciate. Now with the accessories, I'd say this is actually kind of like a high-end setup if you ask me. But is it as good as some Nikons, Canons? No, obviously not. They have better cameras, but they're all Japanese anyway, to be honest. Japan is arguably one of the best camera manufacturers in the world. Germany is as well, such as Leica and Zeiss. So, what I recommend this camera, if you are just getting into film shooting and you're looking for an extremely simple setup, you would want a flash unit and a motor grip. It does not get any easier than that for a beginner. This is an extremely beginner-friendly camera. Everything's automatic. You basically do nothing. Everything's marked and tells you what to do. If you're good at guesstimating distances and you know like at least basic information, it's not a problem. This is probably one of the best beginner 35mm cameras I can think of. That being said, if you want high-end results, I wouldn't expect it. They're going to be average. I would say if you're just getting into it, I'd recommend this camera. I assume they're really cheap. I imagine they're pretty common. They're made for a long time, and they probably spit out like crazy. I only paid like $4 for this camera, so or I think paid $6. I don't know, something like that, $4 or $6. With all that came with it, I would imagine the camera's worth a little bit more than that. But I assume you could get it for like $50, if not less, which is probably a fair price point for this. I still prefer like the Canon and Nikon film cameras. Obviously, everybody does. Leica would obviously be like Leica and Hasselblad would be like the creme de la creme of photography. But you can't have everything. Not everybody has that kind of money, and also they're in high demand, and they're probably gonna be a little bit hard to find in something like this. I have basically talked about everything there is to say about this camera. How to use it. I mean, let's talk about some like more niche stuff that I like about this. This grippy texture on this camera is actually really nice. Like the ergonomics of this camera are actually really nice. Like you can get your hands around it. Like you can look through it. I actually really like the ergonomics of this camera. And I think the motor grip especially makes it more ergonomic because it's just more comfortable for me to have the shutter here. Because like you don't have to bend your finger as much. You can get a good purchase on the camera. Just a little niche thing about it. As far as the Quantaray lens that comes in the factory, I actually don't like it. It's too small. I think you'd be better off putting a different lens on it if you buy it. one that supports uh, automatic aperture, which a lot of lenses do. I have tons of lenses in my basement that will probably fit on this camera. Oh, if you flip it over, and it probably won't work for this, I imagine. You can look through there, and it'll show you like overexposed, underexposed, and it'll show you the shutter speeds that's set to. Which most of them, if you look through the lens, will tell you that anyway. That is basically. I'm trying like so hard not to drag. I want this video to not be too short, but there ain't too much more to say about this. I mean, I don't want to waste people's time. Let me know if you have any questions in the description. And thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe, and Film and Flash out.